Okay, good morning. This is Linda Pearl of One Quilting Circle, and it's Tuesday morning, February 1st, 2022, and I'm glad that you could be with me this morning. This is the live stream that goes on my YouTube channel. There's a companion blog post that's going to get posted, and I'll put it in the links below when it under goes up a little bit this afternoon. And if you are liking what you are seeing and want to go ahead and subscribe, I'd love to have you and be part of the journey here. Um, so in January, we had an ongoing discussion about um, my creative stuckness, and I was having a hard time finding a way through it. Well, I had some friends that suggested that I do a couple of different exercises, and I tried them a little bit, sort of stretching your creativity and trying small little exercises and such. And that really wasn't doing it for me. And so I took out, just to sort of catch you up, I took out my 2021 UFO list and brought it. There were very few things that actually got completed off that list for a number of different reasons, and started moving it over to 2022 and realized at that point that there was a good deal that was on that to-do list that was taking up space, but I really didn't want to do it. So a lot of those projects have left the creative space. I'm fortunate enough to have access to a guild that is doing an online not an online, doing a fundraiser because our show cycle is off, like so many of them. So we generally have done this, and it's been planned long before this. Um, I took a trip out to her on Friday and said, "These are all UFOs that I don't want. I'm not going to finish. Here's all the fabric. Here's everything that I've got. They can call me if they get questions, but I'm going to basically feed the auction." Um, I have since found more that I'll be taking another trip to her, and I have made arrangements with other people. And in doing this and starting cleaning out things that were what I thought were well organized, you've never seen the closet. Um, there was a lot of stuff taking up space that was not stuff that I really wanted to do. And so, in the course of this, what I call the creative tsunami happened over the weekend. We were having a storm, couldn't go out. And I got out all of my toys that had been packed away during COVID times. And sort of like made thing. There's a lot of stuff that's no longer there. There's a lot of stuff that's still on my floor that needs to be processed through. But it's now a much more functional space for me. I can put my hands on what I have and what I need. Now, the good news is that I don't have too much fabric, and I thought that was a distinct possibility 4 days ago. It's not the fabric that I'm having issues with. It is paper. It was books. I have resolved that. If you go back and look at the live stream from last week or 2 weeks ago, my bookcase over here where I keep all my books, and um, those are items that they have to be there because the light in the summertime goes on that, so I can't put fabric there. So that's where all my books. That used to be 4 shelves. It's now 2. Um, And so I did a kind of a ruthless purge. And it felt really, really good to be able to say, no, I really don't need to keep that, or I'm ready to let that go. Over the course of the last several months, I have, as a way of coping with what I now know is anxiety because of too much clutter in here. I have watched channels such as Erica Lucas, who is the minimalish mom, and she has done a whole series on decluttering and how to keep what's important and how to let the rest go. She's very relatable. She makes it very easy. And I swear to heaven that her video on how to declutter your recipe collection, and I'm going to get to the kitchen in a minute, was empowering for me because it really allowed me to kind of say, this is what I have and this is what I want to keep, and I can let the rest go. So back in the fall, right around the beginning of December, and it started to get that. My kitchen, switching gears just a little bit, my kitchen downstairs, Mike and I have lived in the house for 40-ish years, 40, it might be 41. And we have no plans on leaving. We've raised our children here. We have rehabbed the kitchen twice, I believe. But if I looked at my kitchen at the beginning of December, I couldn't stand that. I have a big, beautiful bookcase that's part of it. And it's where, when I started cooking, I started collecting cookbooks and such like that. And I would often have this thing of, well, I have a recipe for it. I just have no idea where in the wall system it is. I think this just in dark brown. And I had also gone gluten-free maybe 7 years ago. And over the course of time, as I've been processing information and learning how to cook, most of the way that I cook today, because of information changes, I will go to Pinterest and find a recipe there or print it out, and then the prints and the screen print, duplicate, triplicate, whole 9 yards. I had never done a cookbook purge. I had never gone through and cleaned out all the cookbooks that I no longer can use with. That was coupled by the fact that I went looking for and found that I had if I had probably accumulated 24 cookbooks, which is conservative, I had exactly one for gluten-free, and a magazine. Woohoo. So I had obviously learned how to process information differently. And I had a notebook of favorite family recipes, but it wasn't a notebook of favorite family recipes. It was a mishmash of printouts and some stuff I had tried, some stuff I hadn't tried. It was all a mess. And I have to really say that the second weekend of December is probably not optimal time to pull everything off the wall and kind of decide, this isn't working for me anymore. But that's how I rolled, and that's what happened. And since that time, I have enjoyed the space more. I actually have photographs that I'll post up on the blog of the before I kind of had the meltdown and what it looks like today. There's still a lot that it's not minimalist, but it's very comfortable for me, and I can very much use it. But when I get down there, I enjoy it. I'm having fun in it. My creativity, amazingly enough, is coming out to play. And because I have all the toys and I know where they all are, it's enjoyable to me. So that kind of was like, okay, we kind of did that. I found my candle collection downstairs. And it really was a place I enjoyed over the holidays, which was a great thing. After the holidays, I moved up, and to try to get ready for this trip that we were supposed to go on, I tried to make the same process in my closet. With not quite the same amount of success. But, Rome wasn't built in a day. And then you come in here, and then you see what was here. And as I said, it wasn't that I have too much fabric, and it wasn't that I have too much thread. It's that I had too much other stuff taking up space. So I've had to go on a purge, on a clean out. I've identified the specific categories. Thank you, Erica, that I can say, okay, I need to figure out how to do. I don't know how to deal with this, but I need to get rid of it. I need to figure it out. And all those UFOs that have left the office and that are not coming back in. I actually sat down with all the UFOs that I pulled out because I was looking to see what would, I figured as long as I'm donating the auction, I might as well go for broke and see what else I have in here, deciding to finally once and for all do it. And I found the remnants and the beginnings of a lot of projects that I wanted to start a long time ago that I quote unquote never had time for or couldn't find or didn't know where they were. And I actually sat down and I made a list and surprised myself because it's more than one or two. Some of them are items that I want to develop and bring to market and, patterns and such like that. Um, and it was actually kind of exciting to find out that there was so much there. And I have ideas that I want to continue to flesh out and work on. A lot of the stuff that is being destashed, and I currently have a destash going on Facebook. And if you're on my mailing list for Linda at onequiltingcircle.com, you'll get the email of the stuff that is currently up for grabs on I'm doing a couple of mystery boxes are things that either I don't want the book, I'm not going to use the fabric, I'm going to do this. And that's making me feel very calm and very centered. I also found out that in the paper category, I have stuff from a family member that needs to be processed, and it had all come in here, and I needed to deal with it at some point, and it's time. So the paper is actually going to go what I thought when I kind of dug into it and realized what the issues were. I have paper that needs to be just recycled, doesn't need to be shredded, doesn't need to be anything else. And I have another bucket that has to be shredded. Okay, so that's two ways of dealing with it. Um, if I have a pattern from a designer that I'm not going to make, I'm going to shred it. And it's like a printout or a PDF printout. I'm going to shred it, let it go. If it's a pattern that needs to be sold, then that's a different problem. And I am working on ways that find I can find ways to let that go responsibly. I don't want to just take all of this and go dump it in a landfill. That's not who I am. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. But in terms of, I no longer want to have this taking up space here in my creative space. There is a well known correlation between clutter, which creates stress, and the stress will shut down your creativity. And that's exactly what was going on in December and January in here, and why I was so hard pressed to start and do anything. It just, I literally felt that I walked in here and I was like this. Um, and starting to take steps of this is helped. Now I have stuff in here processed. I have stuff that's in my master bedroom that's being processed in a corner. And my goal here is that by Friday, I will have two bins, a bin to be recycled and a bin to be shredded. And I'm going to introduce my young grandson to the joys of feeding the paper in the shredder and seeing how, it might be fun. It might not, as long as he knows he only does that when I tell him to do this with the paper. But it has been something that I feel like I have never decluttered to this level. I've never, in some ways, when I've done it before, I've always felt like I was just like moving things around. And at the end of the day, I had the same amount of stuff here. I was actually surprised. One of the categories that came up with is, I didn't realize I had this problem, but I have computer clutter. Now, I have computer clutter electronically on my desktop where I come in and I just can't deal with all the crap that's on the desktop. So that's all been gone. I think I have 3 photos for clients right now, and those are gone. Email is another pain point, is another declutter thing. I have to go through that and just deal with that. But literal computer stuff. I have 2 laptops. I have 2 tablets, old phones, a backup hard drive that we no longer use. Now, what do I do with this stuff? Part of me wants to go out in the backyard and take a hammer to it because one of the things is how do you clean it off enough of all your personal information enough that you can feel that you can do it. But that's like, there's more of that than I would think. So I've kind of got to pull that back. Um, I have a I have identified that I have an issue surrounding office supplies. Apparently, I can have a good time at Staples no matter where I am or what's going on. And that has gotten to the point where I now have a box where my printer paper lives. If it's not in the printer and there's not like a half of an inch of it underneath it, I have one place where I know my computer printer looks like. So I don't have to wonder if I'm low. That's what I have. That's where, if I have paper, that's where it's going to go. I have another box that is the container that I have. This is where my office supplies are going to live. I have to manage to that. The payoff of this is the fact that there are things that I would like to have in here that I still don't have room for. And, I know, for example, that buying batting by the roll is much more cost effective than buying batting by the package. I don't have room to fit a roll, but I have a plan and I can see where it's going to go. If I don't know that I'm going to get there, but in the meantime, this stuff it is allowing me to play with the creative spirit that's coming back. What you'll be seeing is that this channel is going to continue to be my live presence on the net for a while. But we're going to start seeing me playing around with more content, more pattern play, more technique play, and such like that. Because I'm becoming more confident in the stuff that I'm finding and going to be able to do. This will be, and in the blog post this afternoon, I have one photograph that, because I still haven't mastered the YouTube editing, but now it's not quite so overwhelming. I have 7 boxes that were full of projects and fabrics and yada yada and stuff, and that's all gone. And it feels wonderful. And I don't have the need to go shopping because I still have plenty. But we're in the process of working that through. So this is today's live stream. I'm going to work on the blog post now, put that up, and I'll put a link on it below. And I hope that you'll come back and see me next week. We'll find other ways to do it. Maybe I'll even talk a little bit about the first of the patterns this year that I've reinvented. And we'll continue to go forward. So I believe it is 47 days till spring at this point. Hang in there, it's coming. And I will talk to you later, and I will see you next week. Hang in there. Bye-bye. All right.